Good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Craig Moeller here with you. We are sharing to a couple of pages this live Facebook feed. We are so excited to do this for you, and we're going to come live here in just a moment. Like I said, we are sharing to a couple of pages, making sure folks know what's going on as I'm adjusting volume. And again, we'll get this shared out to a couple of pages, and we will start our weather school. This is awesome what we're going to do here, and not just this morning, but over the coming weeks. Let's go ahead and reveal the group here. And here we are.
We're here.
Peyton Domschke, Craig Moeller, a couple of the meteorologists, two of the six.
Two of the six, yes.
1/3 of our weather team, and this is something that we feel so passionately about here at 13 News Now, and that's helping you and your kids, maybe grandkids, family, friends, whoever you can share this Facebook feed with. We'd love to have you do that. We're going to be dropping a little weather knowledge on you every morning. That's our intent at 9:15, Monday through Friday. We'll be back here with a different weather topic and interacting with you, answering some of your questions. We'll try to get to some of those as we go along here, but we're all in this, guys. We're fighting this virus, and we know how important social distancing is. This is as close as I've gotten to Peyton. All right, we'll do this, okay? Quick, foot five. That's it. That's it. Okay, no closer than that.
Nope, that never.
Yeah, wait, we got the distant air high fives too, but it's one of those things the station here, 13 News Now, is taking very seriously. We need you to take this seriously as well at home, and I know you are, but the kids may be going a little stir crazy. I know my guys were in over their spring break this past week, and everybody was just like, when we went out, we had to keep distance, and it just was really, really tough. So we're going to help you guys every morning with some weather knowledge, and we're going to have some fun. One of my favorite things to do, Peyton, you know this, is the school talks.
It is your school talks.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. Now, I'm not going to start off by singing the theme to SpongeBob SquarePants, although I do that with the school talks. No, maybe later on, okay? But what we're going to do right now is talk about one of the topics. And again, this is largely going to be gauged, well, really, I think, all different ages and all different school grade levels.
And even parents and grandparents who are watching too, maybe you'll learn a thing or two.
If you stay tuned each morning at 9:15 for these, by the end of this whole thing, if we do this, who knows how many weeks or how long we need to do this, but you will all become so knowledgeable in weather that you guys will be applying for my job, and maybe I'll take early retirement at the beach. Who knows, all right? But I will tell you, we're excited, again, to share some different information on weather, and you can see right over my shoulder this snowy picture. It says Times Square. Let me tell you what our topic is this morning. It's something that I heard a little something about over the weekend.
Did you?
All right. This was a potential that I started hearing the term kicked around a little bit. There was some concern about a possible nor'easter.
Yes.
So I thought, for this first one, let's talk to the kids about nor'easters. So you may have heard that phrase. If you're a itty bitty bitty guy or girl, you may not be as familiar. But these nor'easters are these amazing coastal storms, all right? Sometimes we think about them almost like wintertime hurricanes, and they're totally different in how they're structured, but they can have some similar impacts. And Peyton, this picture of Times Square with people out walking around in a lot of snow there, this was from a project you did.
It was from a project I did actually back last semester. Actually, I shouldn't say last semester, last fall I did. This is actually a storm you're seeing right here of the snowy mess in New York back in January 3rd and 4th of 2018 is what they nicknamed a bomb cyclone. It was the nickname of the storm, but it was a nor'easter.
And we will say that's one of the characteristics of these powerful nor'easters is sometimes they can bomb out. And, you kids at home are going, wait a second, a bomb? What's he talking about, right? When a storm system rapidly develops, you're not going to look out and see an explosion off the coast, but what you will see is a storm system that was, this area of low pressure that really, really ramps up, gets super intense very quickly. You can't fall apart. I mean, when we get into this, come on.
We gotta.
All right, she's feeling the energy here. But when these storms really, really ramp up quickly, we say that they're bombing out, okay? Or it's a bomb cyclone in this case. So this one produced a lot of heavy snow. Now, kids here in Virginia, typically with these nor'easters, we don't see a tremendous amount of snow. That's usually a little bit warmer at the coast. However, we have had some snows just a little bit inland, and it's possible, I mean, if the air is cold enough, we certainly can have very heavy snow from these potential nor'easters.
You were telling me earlier that you specifically here either wet or white is what you were calling these.
Yeah, you can have wet nor'easters and you can have white nor'easters. The farther north you go, once you get up New York, Boston, you get up into the Canadian provinces, there they deal with a ton of snow. Now, here in Hampton Roads, you're going, okay, what do we get with nor'easters? Well, I'll go ahead and advance this so we can take a look. Around here, we see more like this, and this was Lynn, Massachusetts. Again, another picture from your project.
Yes, definitely. But you can also see that there is some snowfall back in the distance. So it's a mix right here in that location specifically. But here for us, yes, more water. You can see all of that on the roadways, those cars trying to go through it. What they shouldn't be doing is going through it right here.
No, you never want to drive across those flooded roadways. That's a whole nother weather safety talk, which, by the way, we'll get into some weather safety over the coming days and weeks doing this going forward. Right now, though, focusing on the nor'easters, we have our big issue here in Hampton Roads has historically been flooding, and you get it a couple of ways. You can get it from very heavy rain wrapping into these nor'easters, and you can also get a steady northeast wind, which creates tidal flooding. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Norfolk's highest tides, Peyton. Look at this, okay? The all-time high at Sewell's Point, as long as we've been keeping records, okay? You go back to 1933. We had a hurricane, and that produced a tide level of 8.02 feet. It's a lot of water. There's flooding all over the place, okay? Then many folks around here remember 2003. This is the modern benchmark for our water level. Sewell's Point, Isabel, 7.89 feet. So a little bit lower, just about that much lower than what they had with the 33 hurricane. But again, water everywhere. I mean, this area was inundated. There were some areas that were hit so hard. I think about Pecos and some of the other communities that were just inundated by Isabel. But look at this. In 2009, we had a nor'easter that produced 7.75 feet of water at Sewell's Point. So we're talking just about 3 inches or so lower than our all-time high at Sewell's Point. These were 2 hurricanes, and we almost got that much from a nor'easter. So we really need to pay attention when a nor'easter develops right here along our coast, especially if it looks like it's a slow mover or like it's bombing out. Thought that was really something to look at.
I do want to point out to anyone watching at any time, I am monitoring our Facebook Live specifically. So if you have any questions at any point in time, I will stop Craig and we will answer a question. So please feel free to shoot yours in the comments below. Not only maybe your kids' comments that are watching with you, but maybe your own too. No comment is too silly or to be ashamed of asking any question whatsoever.
Any questions you have, we'd love to get to those. And thank you for bringing that up, Peyton. We appreciate that. All right, so this is what we're looking at, okay? We've got these record high tides. You can see nor'easters right up there. In fact, if you take a look at this, here's a fast fact for you. 8 of the 12 highest tides at Norfolk have been due not to hurricanes, but to nor'easters. So these nor'easters are really, really powerful, and we do have some really significant impacts right here in Hampton Roads. It's incredible. When we were looking over the list, they're right up there with the hurricanes.
The similarities between the two is just so tight-knit.
Yeah, as far as the impacts, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But the structures are different. Right. And here's what we want you guys to think about, all right? And you think about this, kids, if you're taking notes, all right? Here's basically what we have, okay? A nor'easter is a type of what we call a mid-latitude cyclone, okay? They actually develop right here around the mid-Atlantic. A lot of times an area of low pressure will come off the coast, just a typical old storm system that's rolling along, maybe a little spin in the atmosphere, and it's drawing in some colder air from the north, and there's some warmer air out ahead of it. It is not a tropical system, okay? It's not a hurricane, okay? These things occur during the colder months, typically, okay? Typically between October and April, that's when they are most likely to develop. Sometimes we'll get them in September, but typically October to April. You think about hurricanes, those are warm month type systems here. So we're looking at, June through November. That's when we typically get our hurricanes, different structure of system. But what we get here during the cold months is these storm systems, these areas of low pressure that come along, dragging with it some cold air from the northwest, encountering some warmer air at the coast, and then it starts to tap into the Gulf Stream, and that's some warmer sea surface temperatures offshore, and that draws all that energy in.
And that kind of goes back to Leslie had asked, why do hurricanes actually form and come from the south?
So great question again, and we'll get into a whole hurricane section later on, but basically those hurricanes form, you get a low level spin over warm sea surface temperatures, and if you've got lighter winds aloft, they'll continue to draw energy up from the ocean, that warm water spin up, and they become their own system. Okay, this is a little different thing where a lot of the energy is derived, or the energy comes from this difference between the warm and the cold air mixing together with the area of low pressure, and then that Gulf Stream kind of enhancing it and allowing it to bomb out. And again, this is most common along the Atlantic coast, like right here in Hampton Roads. So take a look, okay? And some folks may be wondering, well, why do we call them nor'easters? All right, and we were talking about this a little earlier. Some people think, oh, well, that's because they move off to the northeast, or they have these different theories. No, okay? Here along the Atlantic coast, when these things really ramp up and get super intense, the winds around that area of low pressure wrap counterclockwise. So we get a persistent, strong northeast wind. So when those northeast winds wrapping around the area of low pressure, the winds coming from the northeast, do the damage to the coast, they say, it's a nor'easter. A nor'easter's blowing. That was my pirate talk.
I definitely heard that in your voice.
Did you get that? With an eye patch maybe helped? Nor'easter. All right. So that's a look at where they actually get their name. And sometimes they're called northeasters, but more commonly we'll call them nor'easters. So that's what you're looking at. Again, that persistent northeast flow. Now, what kind of impacts do we see here? I mentioned with the northeast flow, and here in the lower part of the Chesapeake Bay, we have the opening of the bay right here. And down along the outer banks, when you get these strong northeast winds that could gust up hurricane strength in some cases, certainly strong tropical storm force winds, you get the wave action.
The flooding.
Oh, you get flooding. You get tidal surge that we just talked about a little bit. You get beach erosion. You get all kinds of issues. And we have to be very, very mindful of those conditions. The rough surf can be very dangerous. Again, it can erode away the beach and some of the dunes and areas that are built up. And then again, that threat of coastal flooding. And the impacts from these, the worst of these storms are very slow movers. When we get these northeast winds, Peyton, and they're steady over a period of days, that really drives the water levels up. And that's when we get the flooding all over the place, and it's so bad. You're looking intently at our Facebook page.
We have a couple questions.
Sure.
Someone would like to know how a tide is measured.
Okay, so the way we do it when we talk about and this is probably another topic, and at the end of this, if you guys stay with us through the duration, the kids have questions, we want to know what their questions are too. We're going to ask for some more things you'd like us to discuss in future Facebook updates, and we'll be getting some more topics to you. But the tides, we have several gauges around the Chesapeake Bay, all around the United States along the coast. But what we do is we measure the tides. And you think about this, twice a day we get flooding. Every single day. They're called the high tides. So you get 2 high tides each day, and there are 2 lower tides, okay? You take the average of the low tides, okay, and that's what we consider 0. So when we say that the water level with Isabel was around 8 feet, okay, I think the 33 storm was 8.03 and Isabel was just right underneath it.
Yep.
Okay, that's about 8 feet above the average of the lower tides, the lower low tides. So that's our measuring gauge for how much water comes in. And I know that's a little tricky, but people that live right at the coast, they follow that and they know what those numbers mean. It's very, very important that they understand that. So again, rough surf, coastal flooding, we get inundation with this steady northeast wind. It's something else. Now, this is another one of the images, and Peyton, I'll let you talk a little bit about this from your picture. This is a classic nor'easter, and then I'm going to show you the models for what we're looking at over the next 24 to 72 hours.
So you can kind of just see with this general image that comma shape, that mid-latitude cyclone, so that wrapping around that Craig keeps talking about. out. You can see that right here. And where that centralized location is, it's moving up the coast, you can see, and some of the cooler air wrapping back in this way, and that warmer air and moisture fueling in this way. But that's kind of what we're looking at. That comma shape is something that you see in not only storms up the Atlantic coast, but you see them all across the United States. It doesn't just happen right here, but they just look a little bit different each and every place you see them.
This is a color-enhanced satellite image, and this is really significant. I'm going to get a little closer. So it's funny. You see Peyton and I are doing the 6-foot dance where we're going back and forth. But this is a great image, and I love this. Again, this was from Peyton's college project. This is a classic nor'easter. I mean, you see this thing. It's a very intense cyclone. You've got some drier air wrapping into this system. You think about a hurricane, okay? A hurricane would have cloud cover wrapped all the way around it with just that eye in the middle, and then lots of cloud cover, more concentric, more balanced out around it, typically until they start to kind of change and weaken a little bit, become extratropical. In this case, you have colder air wrapping around on the west side of it. You've got warm air coming in here, and this is a classic cyclone. What you don't see just from the satellite images are those strong winds coming in, and that's what's pounding the northeast coast. So you take a look at that. That is an impressive bomb cyclone. That's a nor'easter that really blew up. Here's a look at one of our models over the coming days. And Peyton, please jump in at any point if you have anything you want to ask her.
I just want to point out, so someone said they just joined. Donna said this, and she said she came in a little bit late. We are not specifically expecting this classic nor'eastern pattern. Something a little bit, not even similar, I wouldn't even say, but it was been a talk over the past week of this buzzword, nor'easter.
Yeah, nor'easter.
So that's why we're talking about it.
You'll see what's going towards the northeast U.S. We'll talk a little bit about this. This is strictly something for students that are maybe at home right now, getting a little time here to learn a little something about the weather. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. I can see we've got quite a few people on, and again, keep your questions coming, and we'll talk some more and get some more feedback from you in a moment. But this is the forecast model. This is what we call the GFS, the Global Forecast System, the U.S. model, and you can see we have our winds today coming in from the northeast right here. Now, this is forecast to move off to the northeast. It's just an area of low pressure swinging off the coast, and it is forecast to strengthen a little bit, but not bomb out the way that huge cyclone we just showed you, okay? And again, we picked this topic, nor'easters, to talk to you about this because there was some talk over the weekend that this could be an even bigger issue. Now, the northeast is getting some snow this morning. There was snow in Manhattan, and you can see there is some snow up across parts of Vermont and New England, New Hampshire. You can see Massachusetts back into New York State and Maine. And with this may actually help keep some of the folks in and get that social distance that's so important up in the northeast. Just having to stay in from this. So a little bit of wind and a little bit of rain across New England and specifically Long Island. And then as you go farther north, some snow. You can see this one, while it does strengthen and it does bring those winds in from the north through New York City, and it brings that onshore flow, they may have some impacts, but this isn't a classic one that's going to linger for a long time and just crush the northeast U.S.
If we were able to expand this just a little bit, you'd see a general comma shape, but it's nothing as intense as what we just saw prior. So,
yeah, and you
like
can
Craig
see, this is really important. Look at how quickly it moves off. This is by 9:30. When these nor'easters really set up and do their most damage, they basically sit and spin,
and
sometimes
they're there for a couple days.
Slow.
Like that specific one was there January 3rd and 4th, just sitting like that, continually fueling not only the snowfall that some of those people were seeing, those strong winds, and some of those tidal issues with the flooding too.
And this is where it is somewhat similar to a tropical system in that, we have the worst problems with flooding from these hurricanes on the duration, how slowly they're moving along. If a coastal low sets up and you get that persistent northeast flow, a nor'easter develops and just continues to hit the same area over and over and over again, then you get into some real trouble. And this is not the case. By 9:30 tomorrow morning, it'll be pulling away, and this one eventually moves off. Now we've got another one I think there was some question about this one as well. You know, here we're going to get some more showers. It looks like Wednesday, a pretty good chance, and you can see the model picking that up. Here it comes, swinging off the coast. And this one, instead of setting up camp somewhere here and moving off, this one starts to swing a little farther off the coast. And again, as we get into Friday, it's going to be pretty far offshore and moving away. So will they have some impacts? Could this be considered a small nor'easter, what they're dealing with today? Maybe on a smaller scale, but this certainly isn't one of the worst to hit the region that they've seen. I mean, historically, they get a lot worse than that. And for our area, we are not looking or worrying about nor'easter type conditions here. So hopefully all that makes sense. And I think everybody's happy about that. I don't know, some of you may be thinking, okay, that's good. So what can we expect? Well, we're going to get into the forecast here locally, but that's what we want you to know about nor'easters. Now, if you've got little itty bitties, maybe second graders, third graders, I say itty bitties, those developing young minds, okay? Because what I found out, the kindergartners, the kindergartners today, I'm able to talk to them about stuff I used to teach second graders like 10 years ago. And the second graders are like learning like fourth graders, and fourth graders are like high school students now. It's amazing how smart our kids are getting. It's incredible. But if you do have maybe some younger students that are going, wow, there's a lot of technical talk, we're going to be having a lot of fun with these Facebook updates in the coming days. We'll be talking about things like how to read a weather map, what some of the symbols mean, why the seasons change.
There's even some good ideas already in here for future videos, like how does lightning happen? Oh
my gosh, we're going to talk about lightning and thunder and safety. We've got some really cool demonstrations that we'll do along the way. I think you'll really get a kick out of them, but just thought we'd start off with nor'easters. Now, here's a look at today's weather headlines, and Peyton, we've been talking about this. Here in Hampton Roads, wet and breezy, and here's what I want the kids to do. We're going to talk about the forecast. I already
know what he's going to say.
I am opening myself up here. With us doing this each day, we'll put up the forecast, and then the next morning when we do this, tomorrow morning at 9:15, you guys tune in to see whether our forecast was good and you want to do a virtual high five, right? We can high five the students. Or if it's really awful, you guys can kick off your shoes and take a sock and throw it at the TV. Don't, maybe from across the room. Nobody damage your TVs, but I figure one sock taken off and thrown, how much damage can happen?
All of the above.
Do not throw your phones.
Don't throw your phones. You can throw your sock.
I'm saying a dirty sock. That works, okay. That would be okay. That's a stinky forecast. But anyway, we'll be tracking that and having some fun with the kids there as well. Here's what we have today. Weather headlines, wet and breezy. We have high surf at the coast. Talk to us, Peyton. Look over your shoulder there.
You can just see the whitecaps on the water. I mean, amongst all of the shot in general, you can see all of the raindrops on the lens at the Dairy Queen at Virginia Beach. So at the boardwalk today, you're seeing no one. And I don't think anyone's going to venture out unless they've got that rain jacket on. But in general, those winds very gusty, and you can see the water actually way in a little bit farther than we've seen probably in quite some time at the beach itself. But a lot of action going on at the water, not only because of those winds, but just the rain in general is the whole mix of the two today.
Yeah, you've got a mess out there. It's not a good day to be at the ocean front. And again, we want you to be inside today, taking it easy. You want to keep that social distance, all right? We do have the high surf at the coast. Things will improve, it looks like, later today, at least in terms of the actual small craft advisories today running through about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and things will ease up a bit after that. You can see the roads are wet. There is a little bit of traffic on Brambleton Avenue over there, but again, everybody taking it easy, and there will be more rain chances later this week. Here's something that I really want to stress with you, and right now, let's get a quick read on the room, okay? If you're like me and you are suffering allergies, does a pollen have you down? Give me a quick thumbs up here. Let's see if we got anybody out there else that is suffering the allergies, because that's what I'm dealing with right now. It's been crazy. The rain today knocks down the pollen a little bit. So instead of being high like it's been for the past, gosh, it seems like forever.
I know.
You're seeing all the green slime on the cars, and when it rains, you get all the puddles collecting. Yeah, see, we're getting some thumbs up now. I know you're with me, Hampton Roads. We've been, get done with this.
But
guess
the red is back.
Tomorrow, it's going to be drier, partly sunny, and that's going to allow the pollen levels to jump back up. And it's important to note, okay, the Washington Post put out a story today. I thought it was great, talking about people dealing with seasonal allergies and being worried about coronavirus, saying, you know, gosh, I've got maybe a tickle in my throat, or I'm having to clear my throat a little bit, or maybe you're even feeling a little bit of congestion. They're very quick to point out, remember, with seasonal allergies, you may experience all these things and think, okay, is this a problem? But with allergies, you know, you won't have a fever. So if you have a fever, that's something else, obviously, that you need to consider. But, you know, you don't get your body aches and pains like you do with a virus, okay? So those are two big things. Again, no fever, no aches and chills and all of that. You know, you're probably suffering. And that's what I've been dealing with, the allergies. It's been awful with the tree pollen.
But the rain chances are back on Wednesday.
And that knocks them back down. Yeah, so we're pulling yes,
the roller coaster of our allergies.
Knock it down. Well, take a look. You'll see in the 7-day forecast how we've got more rain chances kind of off and on each day. Now, it has been windy. Peyton, we were talking about the windy conditions and the surf. Pretty rough there. Some of the waves breaking, you know, close to 8-9 feet. It's been crazy out there. Wallops with the wind. These are sustained winds, 24 miles per hour.
The coastlines in general. Back inland, though, not feeling those effects as much. But you can see a little bit calmer in some locations, specifically, words are hard, specifically back inland, but the eastern shore just getting that off and on all day. And the Outer Banks have been seeing some of those effects too.
We
Duck
had
at 10 mile an hour right now.
Yeah, we had some heavier winds earlier down there and also around Hampton. The winds have actually eased since daybreak this morning. Those are sustained winds. Now you take a look at the wind gusts. Wallops Island with a gust of 36 miles per hour. So still windy up there. Melfa with a gust of 28, the same at Watchpreet. But winds easing up a bit, so that's not bad. You take a look here, we've got our one batch of rain moving through, then it gets drier, some more rain out to the west. And we'll add the winds on there. You can see that onshore flow, the east winds coming in. So that's kept our temperatures down a little bit. So here comes a radar sweep. You can still see showers at the coast.
And you can see we're going to get a little bit of a break and clouds will filter in, but we could still see the isolated shower chance throughout the night.
Yeah, take a look at this. All right, so here come the showers. They move out this morning. There's that next batch. All right, you want to make the call on this?
What are we calling?
Well, I'd say isolate the scattered showers
of course, throughout the evening and into the overnight hours.
So if this doesn't work out, we're going to take off our socks tomorrow and throw them at Peyton, okay? That's it. You see how I just put that on her. All right, so those move through. Isolated showers. Overnight tonight, things settle down. Still going to be mostly cloudy, and then we're going to see improvements coming after that. Tomorrow will be a partly sunny day. Temperatures a little bit milder, a little cooler,
which
mid to upper 50s.
Will be good news for folks that are stuck inside today with all the rain and the wind, all of the conditions that are keeping you inside. You're going to want to get outside tomorrow and enjoy some of that because the rain will be back on Wednesday. For sure. Yeah, good chances again on Wednesday. So right now we have cloudy skies, wet at the ocean front and at the airport, 53 with drizzle. North winds now easing to 6. Highs today, we're going to say 59. Now, I expect there to be a lot of cloud cover, and I think with the break from the rain, if we even get a couple slivers of sunshine peeking through, temperatures do potentially get a little bit warmer, but I'm feeling pretty good about 59. I do want to point out that our seasonable average high for the middle to late March now is 60 degrees, so this is almost an average forecast for you temperature-wise, but this weekend we were in the low to mid-50s, so we're on that upward climb, and when we look at the 7-day forecast, you'll see temperatures are going to be on the increase.
Yeah, we'll see them warming up again towards next weekend. Overnight tonight, mostly cloudy, 48 tomorrow, 57, partly sunny. Those temps a little bit below average. So here's a look at the 7-day, back up to 70 on Wednesday, but then rain showers with another system coming through.
But 4 70-degree days in this next forecast, but you can definitely see which day you should be outside the most. Thursday with all the sunshine.
At a good social distance.
Social distance and maybe in the backyard. Maybe you got the grill out, whatever it may be on your Thursday. But you can see that the showers arrive back on Friday. And we'll see a little bit more clearing for your Saturday, but the rain going to be back in the forecast too off and on for your Sunday.
And Friday and Sunday just kind of hit and miss at about 30%. Yeah. So that's a look at the 7-day forecast. Again, we'll talk about how we did with that and as far as the accuracy of today's forecast coming up. Quick reminder, you can request to join the 13 News Now Daybreakers. We would love to have you. You just request to join that group. We will, there's a couple simple questions just to show that you're not a robot or somebody trying to infiltrate the group. Sometimes, we look over, we'll get, companies trying to do different things. This is just a group of folks that want to be a part of the show and enjoy the interaction. So just, request to join 13 News Now Daybreakers. Answer a couple very easy questions like, do you watch 13 News Now? And what's the name of the region, for instance? You can say anything, Norfolk. You can say 757, Tidewater, Hampton Roads. We'll do that and then welcome you into the group.
I do want to point out, I feel like people look at this and they're joining a huge commitment. I want to point out that we interact in the morning on this page with our viewers, and we couldn't do it without you. So it's fun to see how you guys are all communicating with each other, especially during this time of being socially distant. I think it's important to have communication, even if it's over a piece of technology, because getting each other through it is the best part about having this group and being Daybreakers, as we're all in it together.
For sure, for sure. Well said, Peyton. Well, before we jump off, and we're about to sign off now, interested to know, again, if you have suggestions for what you'd like us to talk about tomorrow and the next days and the days to come. And we've got a bunch of them planned out, so we've got a bunch of great topics. But if you've got some ideas, please feel free to share. We'd love to know. And again, a lot of the ones that we do in the future I'll be gauging maybe a little bit younger, but I just thought, there's talk about the nor'easters. Thought we'd explain what a nor'easter is and why we care so much about them here in Hampton Roads, why they can really mess up our weather. So that's what we're doing this morning. Guys, thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this Facebook update. We've been on for about half an hour, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. Join us again tomorrow, 9:15. You going to come back?
I will be here. Of course I will.
There you go.
Socially distant, of course.
Yeah, we'll do that again from a distance. There you go. All right, Peyton and I doing the foot five. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe and join us tomorrow morning. Again, 13 News Now Daybreak. Love to have you join us for more updates on the whole situation. But we'll be back here 9:15 with another school talk, and we'll drop some more weather knowledge.